Smooth 98.1 Mega World. Here we are, Business Express for a Monday morning, brought to you by InterSwitch. And today we're going to be discussing Nigeria's second quarter GDP performance. I'm Shakwa Martins, of course.
And I'm Victor Pepple. Welcome to Business Express. Yes, like Shakwa said, we will be discussing Nigeria's second quarter GDP performance.
Yes, and in order for us to get this conversational ball rolling, by the way, you can also watch this up on youtube.com/Smooth981FM Lagos. Yes. In order, you can do that and leave your comments up on the live stream. You can also send WhatsApp messages with your questions, your observations, your comments on 0809 440 981. You can also tweet at us. We are at Smooth981FM.
That's right. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Shakwa. Good morning, Victor. Good morning to all our listeners, viewers out there. Good to be with you all on Monday.
All right. So, yes, now, apart from Rotus joining us today, we have got our guest, Angela Onotu, who's an economist with Vetiva Capital Management Limited. Angela, hello.
Hello.
How are you? Welcome to the show.
Good to have you.
Good morning.
Yes. So like we said, we're discussing Nigeria's second quarter GDP performance. Rotus, let's do this.
Yes, indeed. So 3.5% year on year is the figures that we got for GDP. I think that was an improvement on the 3.11% figures that we got in the first quarter of the year. So, Angela, what do you make of those numbers?
Okay, so like you said, the economy grew by 3.54% year on year, which was actually 43 bips increase from what we saw in the previous quarter. Basically, the figures reveal that we're still being very much service-led because that's where we saw the highest growth. And more specifically on the sector level, we saw the highest contributors being trade, ICT, trade, and finance. So, for the ICT sector, since we've had the lifting of the relaxation of the SIM ban, we've seen the sector continue to enjoy positive growth. Also, the trade sector, since the relaxation of the since the reopening of the borders, we saw that there were about 4 borders that were reopened in April. This has helped boost cross-border trade and also increase the output in that sector. And finally, the finance sector as well. So I think the CBN had this loan deposit strategy where they're now punishing banks, basically ensuring that banks are administering more credits. So due to the growth in loans, especially to the manufacturing sector, we've seen the finance sector also post positive growth. Yeah.
Would you say that, thank you so much for that. Would you say that the average Nigerian, though, is feeling this growth in GDP that we're seeing?
I wouldn't say that the average Nigerian is necessarily feeling the growth because for us to feel it, we have to feel okay, there's an improvement in the standard of living, right? But however, actually GDP is not a measure of welfare, it's more of a measure of output, right? But when we start talking about the impact on the average Nigerian, we start looking at GDP per capita, which is released annually. However, it's not even that is not even where it's supposed to be, especially now in a time if you consider the economic environment which we find ourselves, it's very high inflation, high unemployment rates, insecurity. So it's the average Nigerian is not really feeling this positive growth or expansion in the economy.
Yeah, a friend of mine, when I put the question on my WhatsApp, said, Rotus, you can go and eat your GDP. I'm not feeling anything at all. I'm not feeling anything at all. I think the oil sector, I want to talk about oil real quick since we depend on that so much. It continues to struggle. Is oil theft still our main issue there?
Yeah. So oil theft has been a significant problem in the oil sector. So, I mean, even in a time of high oil prices, right, Nigeria as an oil producing nation hasn't really been able to benefit from this. We're still, I think the last I checked, we're producing about 1.08 million barrels per day, but we're even losing about 90% of that to oil theft, right? I think recently the Chevron shut down its loading programs at the Bonny terminal, due to insistent crude oil theft. Also, Forcados, oil production at the Transforcados terminal, which is our largest oil production facility, has also declined by about 49% year to date. So yeah, oil theft is definitely a huge problem for us, alongside pipe vandalisms and all that. Yeah.
Massive issues. Okay, let's go to the non-oil sector. And since we talked about non-oil sector, I think 4.77% is the growth we saw in the non-oil sector. Agriculture, though, just to touch on that, contributes about 23 or is it 24% to overall GDP, but it only grew by 1.2%. What do you make of the growth we saw in agriculture?
Okay, so for the agricultural sector, insecurity has been a big issue alongside infrastructure and, poor storage facilities, right? So for insecurity, if we look at the agriculture, like the group, if we pick like crop production, which makes up about 90% of contribution to agricultural output, that if we look at that figure, that only did half of what it did in the previous quarter. So we attribute this mainly to insecurity, activities of bandits, which have kept farmers away from their farmlands, and also disrupted, supply chains of these agricultural products. Because I wouldn't want to go to the farm if I'm scared that, I'll be attacked. So that's really, has been disturbing our agricultural output. And, like I said, alongside poor infrastructure and storage facilities. So, however, the sector has remained resilient, because of, CBN's continued interventions to sort of support the sector.
Good stuff. Any thoughts on the manufacturing sector? I think manufacturing grew by 4.2% or so. I don't know if FX and smuggling or porous borders are still the issues that manufacturing is facing.
Yes. So for the manufacturing sector, so FX is a huge issue because, sometimes they source their materials, they import raw materials. But what the manufacturing sector, what they're trying to do now is they're actually trying to start sourcing materials and raw materials locally, to sort of hedge against like the FX factor. So yeah, that's been a big issue. And also for like consumer goods as well, they've tried to start repackaging products like in smaller sizes, smaller quantities, to where consumers are able to afford it. Like I said, due to high inflation and just the economic environment, which has been quite harsh on consumer wallets, they're not able to spend as much as they could before. So that's why we've seen reduced spending across board.
I have to touch on arts, leisure, and entertainment. Maybe there's a disconnect here, and I really want to get your thoughts. Arts, leisure, and entertainment grew by 0.11%. And I don't know, Nigeria has some of the biggest artists in the world. We have Nollywood maybe they are overhyped, I don't know. But how can we have the Burna Boys, the Thames? I follow battle rap. There's a battle rapper who is supposed to be hardcore, and he posted a Thames video over the weekend just to show you how big Nigerian artists are, right? So how is it that we've got such a large arts or other entertainment sector, and you're only doing 0.11%? Is there a disconnect, or is the success only for the artists themselves that doesn't translate to the industry?
Yes, also in terms of like output from the industry, I would also say that FX might have a role to play in that, in terms of budgets for movies and things like that. So I would definitely say like FX is a huge problem for the industry. In terms of, I'll probably say the artists themselves are probably benefiting more, and that might not necessarily be translating into the broader economy.
It's a shame. A real shame. It's a real, it's such a real shame. ICT, real quick. Last week, I think MTN made the headlines. They are rolling out their 5G pilots. I think we talked about this on Tech Friday on Friday. They're rolling out their 5G pilot program across 7 states. I think ICT grew by 6.5 or 6.6%. Is that still the future for the non-oil sector as far as the economy is concerned?
Yes, ICT has been, really leading the growth, contributing to the growth that we've seen in real GDP, right? So I think that the ICT sector would continue to contribute significantly to the growth. They're coming up with so many, even the mobile money license they recently got, where they're also able to offer some financial services. I feel like they're constantly innovating new ways to sort of increase their output, so I think there'll still be a huge contribution. And also it's a sector that we can't really do without, right? Even though people might try to start, because of the economic environment, maybe ration their spending, ration their data, ration, their airtime, but it'll still be a sector that will continue to move.
Great stuff. Sope, Victor, any messages at all? Are we good?
Yes, we've got this one from Gilbert Musa. And well, Gilbert is saying, despite the increase in GDP in the second quarter, the average Nigerian citizen cannot feel anything. This is like the figures that came in 1997, and we as Nigerians were still complaining of harsh economy. We need to consider regional economic activities for a change.
Interesting. Also, in the aviation sector, real quick, the CBN, this was news that broke in late afternoon Friday. The central bank has made a $265 million payment to international airlines to try to give them some of their money to repatriate. Remember, they're owing about 600 million that can be repatriated. Emirates threatened to leave. I think there was rumors of other airlines probably. So the CBN has made a $265 million payment as of Friday, or was it Thursday, to the international airlines. So that's what we're seeing as far as the economy is concerned.
And this message in from Ogene Ochuku says, if the GDP must grow, government should expand the tax net, especially to the entertainment industry.
And Zen has a message in this morning. Zen is saying, refreshing to hear female analysts this morning. More super female energy on your shows. Lovely balance, Rotus.
Amen to that. Amen.
All right.
We thank Angela for joining us.
Yes,
thank you for having me.
It's been an absolutely fantastic show with Angela Onotu, who's an economist with Vetiva Capital Management Limited. Thank you so much, Angela. It was really fascinating just hearing you go through some of what is that GDP per capita one. We need to talk more about it because we need to feel the effects of GDP growth, don't we? Anyway, but you can always go and replay this conversation, because even though it's coming to an end now, you can catch it up on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos, and you can tag Rotus. He's at Rotanquote on Twitter and Instagram.
You need to go follow Rotus on Twitter, because he'll put the link to the YouTube video on his page, so you can catch the replay through his page on Twitter, Rotanquote, that's the handle.
And of course, we are at Smooth981FM, and that is on Twitter. And that is that for Business Express. Make sure you keep it tuned. Coming up, great music, got Navajo by Masego as we count down to 7:30 and Freshly Pressed.
Yeah.
Bye.